Father, I confess, 'cause I've been living wrong.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another World of Tanks console video. My name is Xenozach and today we'll be dealing with the brand new Tier 8 Medium Premium Tank, Swedish Tier 8 Primo Victoria. That's right, the Sabaton is now in the game. And if you don't know what the Sabaton is, it is basically Wargaming's brand new Tier 8 tank that has been released on console. It was a partnership with the Sabaton band, and if you had watched my info video in the that I previously uploaded, it basically talked about this tank is very unique in the fact that we have, for the first time ever, one of the closest release tanks that is that has been both on PC and on console within 2.5 months, I believe it is. And just to give you a heads up on that, this is the first time and only at current at the release of this video. But nevertheless, we're going to get into some stats and then some gameplay of this tank. So the Primo Victoria is of course the brand new Tier 8 Swedish tank with a firepower stat of 35 and the unique caliber 83.4 caliber gun on it with a base reload of 7.5 and a rate of fire of 8 rounds a minute. So pretty healthy again for a Tier 8 premium tank. And something unique you'll find in all Tier 8 Swedish tanks is that the standard penetration or standard ammo for the tank when fully upgraded is actually APCR, with penetration of 226 on the standard APCR. The premium APCR will bump it up to 258, and of course you can always fire those HE with 42 millimeters of penetration. Damage of course will be 230 on the standard and the premium round, and if your HE round actually manages to penetrate, you will have around 280 average. So shell cost will roughly run you about 680 on the standard APCR, 4,400 in silver on the premium APCR, or if you're a gold spender, about 11 gold is all, and 170 silver for the standard HE. The shell velocity, and this is one of the great things about firing APCR as a whole, is the shell velocity normally bumps up over 1,300 meters a second on the standard APCR, 1,400 meters a second on the premium, and 600 meters a second on the HE. Now, APCR is great for being able to snap shots in for those light tanks that are always trying to run around the battlefield. With 1,300 meters and 1,400 meters a second, they're very good at being able to pick off targets that have really good mobility. Of course, the ammo capacity of this tank is 65, giving you, with the rate of fire and reload, a base DPM of 1840. Now, these are based off average. This is off the base tank itself, not on any bonuses that you want to apply. If you want to look over to the right hand, you are free to use it to determine what bonus you want to apply to it, whether that be the base, the rammer, and vents, the perk, or if you have all three of those, 20%. And that basically applies for view range, the reload, and radio range. So moving on to some gun characteristics, we have an aim time of 2.3 seconds with a dispersion of 0.33 at 100 meters. Gun elevation is 18 degrees and gun depression is 10 degrees. And this is something you probably want to get really used to from the get-go with this tank, because it is very good with the turret as we go over the armor later on. All traverse and turret traverse is locked in at 36 degrees, so be careful and wary of circling tanks. Mobility stat being 20 because of the low engine power of 650 horsepower, with a power to weight ratio of 12.79. Comparing that to the Tier 8 non-premium, the Emil 1, the Emil 1 I believe has a little bit better power to weight ratio. 5% chance is 20%, so keep that in mind if you want to take the risk of throwing on some premium consumable. That's always an added plus that I don't necessarily include on my sheets, but you're more than welcome to. But 20%, you don't necessarily have to run the premium consumable. The rate of fire and everything is base, and having the fire extinguisher sometimes actually just helps out. Forward speed, you have a top forward speed of 50 and a top reverse speed of 20. Terrain resistance on hard is 1, on medium is 1.1, and on soft is 1.9. Survivability stat is 49, and the hit points is 1450. And I'll just keep using the arrow keys as soon as I can figure out where this placed me. That's better. 1450, so that's really good. And this is a medium tank, so 1450 for a tier rate is pretty good. I believe that's average. I'm not sure if that's a little bit above or below. I didn't really check all tier 8 premiums, but still pretty good. Overall armor thickness is 6'2", 254 millimeters, and keep that 254 because you'll be noticing it right below. The hull armor is 76 on the front, 51 on the sides, and 38 on the rear. And the turret armor, which is where this tank shines, is 254 on the front, 89 and 89 on sides and rear. The turret of the tank is, I believe, the buffed version of the Centurion 7-1. I'm not too sure if the current Centurion tanks have the buffed turret, but if they don't, you can kind of preview this tank in a sense of that's what it's going to be on them. But very good for a medium tank, almost heavy durability type right there. So scrolling down, we have a concealment stat of 0.23 when stationary and 0.18 when moving. Spotting stat is at 89, and that is because the base view range of this tank is 400 meters with a radio range of 710. This makes it easier from the get-go, not to equip coated optics or binoculars when you're trying to train up recon or situational awareness. If you feel like you need to, just the coated optics by itself helps out, bumps it up to, I believe, 415 around that area. But the crew itself, which I didn't really talk about because it's just for the tank comparison, the crew itself comes with Brothers in Arms with the standard crew when you purchase this tank. Now, if you chose not to purchase it and just purchase the standalone tank, I believe it still comes with the commander, the Joachim Brodem commander, which still comes with Brothers in Arms. And most people would probably swap it around for 6 cents. I don't recommend it. Keep the Brothers in Arms in it. Use that to train up the tier. The next perk, whether that be 6 cents or anything of your choosing. But with 400 meters base, you're free to choose whatever else you feel like. The tank cost by itself is 9,750 gold. Of course, this is the base tank by itself, no added bonuses, as Wargaming rarely sells them in the beginning of sales. You can probably look for around a little over 10,000 for this tank with the little bonuses that Wargaming normally sells it with. However, the premium bonuses that you more than likely are interested in this tank for, on silver you have 60%, which is really good for tier 8, and 15% on experience. This tank does not unfortunately get an additional crew bonus, but with a non-premium matchmaking or preferential matchmaking as you would call it, you still have the potential of seeing tier 10s, and with the APCR you will have a fair good time competing with tier 9s and 10s, as when you are top tier you'll probably just feel dominant. But nevertheless, I'll show you a quick gameplay, not a full gameplay, of how to use the turret and how comfortable you can feel when playing in the Sabaton's Primo Victoria. And here we go. So I'm going to show you how comfortable you can feel when you use this turret effectively. And I'm just going to be ricocheting shots off of them. Oh, that shot was a little bit off there. But you can see I'm just using the gun depression, just working the edge of this tank, the ridge, just working the tanks over, feeling so comfortable ricocheting shots off this turret. And it's quite good that way, as long as you keep the tank moving so that the hatch isn't you know, snipeable or being picked off when you're in close range. It is still very good to move around. I'm not telling you stay in the same position, but the turret will be very dependable, or is very dependable. As long as you don't expose the hull of the tank, you'll be fine. And I had a tough time against this VK101P, as I know most people have. Venue tier 8 German line to the new mouse, but to the Mauchen, and then the other tier 10, the mouse. They're very good. They're very formidable when you're going against, and from this kind of a range, when they're hull down like that or hiding the weak spots, they're quite a hefty. And that is the first damage I take from the VK101P, and I believe that was the last one I do take from him as well. Just comfortably poking up, aiming right for the weak spots of the VK101P, making sure I just move around a little bit, ever so slightly, to make sure he can't snipe into that turret or the commander's hatch, as I'm pretty sure that's where he aimed at me, and the Comet decided to jump in front of me, and he's about to suicide. Trying to get weak spots on, or shoot the weak spots on this tank, is pretty insane. Especially with the APCR, you feel like regardless of where you shoot the VK101P, or at least in my opinion, I've had very bad luck with it. I do enjoy the Commander. It is the same as on PC with the voice crew of Joachim Brodin. That is actually very fun, and I like when Wargaming does that with their tanks or their partnership tanks. Is you get to have the voice of the a unique voice compared to the standard ones that are in the game. And I just steadily trying to hold off the ZK101P. We just couldn't get anything on him. Ooh, never mind, I got a good sneaking shot into him. And again, another ricochet from that VK101P. And I believe most of my ricochets, or the damage I blocked, came from him. So look forward to that in the post-game results, as I just want to highlight the amount of damage that you can block if you effectively use the turret. And skipping along. Come on. I wish there was a fast forward button on this, but with the video player I use, it's not really on there. You can only skip forward 30 seconds, and at that point I pretty much skipped the rest of the video. At this point you could argue I could have gone back and helped my team, but I figured we have enough people sniping over there, and holding off the VK101P seemed a better choice. But since they were starting to drop over there, I decided to rush over as best as I could to help out, but to no avail. This game will be a loss, unfortunately, but it was the best game I could show off the turret, or highlight it at least, showing you what effective. And there's a great shot showing off the APCR velocity,
It's the
but
best game I've had. All you have to do is reset.
my frustration doing recording on streams never gets old. However, we lose that. I was able to get at least the the strengths of the turret shown, and 3,340 damage blocked with the turrets. So rather than continuing on, we're gonna skip over to the Ace Tanker gameplay that I have for this, and this is in a fairly great balanced match. I'm not top tier, but nevertheless, we should see how the Primo Victoria stacks up against other tier 8s, and it is still fairly good in. Why is that staying up? I never understand that. There we go. So if you're wondering why this tank looks so familiar, it's basically a Centurion tank. Or I think some people, I know someone thought it was a Carnarvon. I don't believe it's a Carnarvon. It's supposed to be based off of the Centurion. I don't know if it's the Mark 1 or the Centurion 7/1. I wasn't really keen on the details for it. But a Centurion tank is a Centurion tank, and it is a great addition for the Swedish tech tree, or Swedish nation, because this isn't a part of the tech tree. Hopefully you guys are being swooned enough into buying this tank, as it is probably going to become one of your favorite tanks, even with the special crew. So moving along the side, I'm trying to take advantage of the center. Nobody else is pushing with me, and in helping my team, you can see Primo Victorias were few and far between, but in the games that you get them, people just decide to rush forward, which I didn't understand. You know, it's a great tank, and maybe they just wanted to suicide and see how much silver you could make if you suicided. As that Primo Victoria clearly demonstrated he was pretty suicidal. So at this point I decided I'm just going to poke up, get some spotting on the M4A1. Primo Victoria and the other medium is right there on D4, D5 area. And the auto aim of course misses or ricochets off the turret. Can I get a shot in? Oh, I missed. You can see that reload is very good. I believe this is, I still have the Brothers in Arms, and this was around one of the games I was training up 6 cents perk on my Primo Victoria, but still a PCR flies true whenever you wait for that aiming circle to aim all the way in, and he's just getting murdered. It's actually, you know, sometimes when you're getting fired, you wonder why people don't move. I know you get really good damage and stuff, but still, sometimes you gotta wonder. And I have no idea where that shot went, but I believe I get the sneak shot. Nope, missed that one. I honestly thought I had a shot on him. Did I not get the second shot on him? So our team is putting up a great fight against them. T-29 gets spotted, so I stay on the outside. My team's pushing up on the end, and the Stir Emil decides to shoot the tracks. And the tracks eat the shot, of course. But he gets a great shot in return. So pulling behind the bush, trying to use that. He doesn't move, he takes the shot instead. And the T-29 is actually staying still. Oh no, never mind, he finally started moving. Man, I swear, 230 average is kind of weird. Because I always feel like most of the time I end up getting on the low roll. Low rolls, but quite often. Nevertheless, my team is not doing so well after us sitting so long in this corner over here. The enemy team have pushed around on the other side, and they're trying to even things back up, but the enemy team is pushing fairly well, and this IKV 65 gets really lucky And this Gornish gets really unlucky. And do I sneak a shot into him? Nope. Can I sneak a shot into this KV-85? And nope, the rock. I believe I hit the rock on that one. So it's a 3 against 5. My team is trying their best on that end. They're holding out, but with us over here, I felt like it was better to go and reset the base. So I'm trying my best to defend it from afar, but again, that VK 101P just proving to be its monstrous tier rate German heavies. I feel like it's one of my most hated tanks to go up against in a tier 8 tank. It's the new tier 8 and tier 9, the 101P and the Malchin are great additions. It's just really hard, I feel like, to penetrate them. But if you have some tips on that, please leave them in the comments. They always help out. I've had really horrible luck trying to pen them, and you can see that I decided to ignore the VK101P and dash towards the KV-85 to get in a quick reset. Will I get a reset? And I exposed too much of the hull of the tank, and I get shot by the KV-85. Fully upgraded. That tank is really good, but the 101P bounces his shot. And you can see now I'm effectively using the turret to bait in some shots, and I'm paying close attention to the minimap, and the VK101P just takes it in. The 12.8 centimeter on that tank is insanely good, but being a German heavy, this is where this just became really fun. Using the mobility of the Primo Victoria, taking circles around a VK101P just felt fun. I don't only auto aim. I do tend to aim sometimes. I know a lot of people don't believe me on that, but every now and then I feel like I can get a good shot in. You see, I'm taking careful aim as to where I shoot. He gives some flats out of that armor. The APCR just loves that. And right here, I kind of messed up. I was trying to make him the tracks eat the shot, but I went up too much beside him.
Damn.
And he penetrated, but finished him off either way. And the other heavy on the other side is about to finish off the Artie, and there he does. And we get a victory in the end.
Nice.
4,375 damage, 20 penetrations, 1,146 assisted, and 830 damage blocked. Ace tanker with a high caliber and a defender medal, with 137,979 with premium in silver, 17,214 with the Primo Victoria ASOP with a 1,881 base experience.
1,881 base experience.
Of course, I'll repeat that.
137.
34 shots fired. Unfortunately, only 20 of those penetrated, and I feel like most of that was against the VK101P.
Thank you very much.
But
MB seal.
you can clearly see when you use the turret effectively, ricocheting shots will probably be second nature, and as long as you keep the gun firing, you can rack up some seriously good damage, and silver for that matter. And being that it's a tier 8 premium tank, you can always count on making a good amount of silver. 60% bonus is great. Even if you don't run a premium account, you'll still make a little bit well over 50 if you do decently over 2,000 damage, which isn't really all that hard. As long as you take your time, you aim well, you're very you'll find yourself having very good luck with this, or if you're a really good player, very skillful enough to use this.
Take them all out from full health. Nice. That's why I got so much experience. Basically, let me farm damage off of them.
Yeah, I was kind of highlighting the fact that the VK101P basically ended up raising up the experience I got from that tank. Sorry that was too fast, but I feel like I was running out of breath. But an ace tanker, a defender, and overall a great result for an end game. So I can thoroughly recommend this tank. The Primo Victoria will not let you down, and a matter of fact, the Sabaton bandmates are actually earnable, so if you chose to purchase this, you can also choose to purchase the other Sabaton crew members or earn them in the earn up that is currently going on, I believe, over the next week. Feel free to leave a comment on some of your best games in the tank or what your overall thoughts of this as well is. I'd love to hear some feedback. As far as my own personal opinion on it, it's great. It's a great addition, and I love when Wargaming do very unique crew voices for tanks like this, or the Valkyria Chronicles tanks. They were with both unique voices. It's great additions to the game and makes it feel a little bit different. The Primo Victoria is a great addition to any collector and any player. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like. Comment on your favorite section down below, or what's your overall thoughts as well, or how good of games did you have in this tank? And I think I just knocked something over. Apologies. Well, that's it for me, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and have a good night.
Hey, there's no way without